Alright, so yet again we have another very exciting chapter of Dragon Ball Super. This current arc just keeps getting better and better, and I think that if you love what makes Dragon Ball, especially the fights, you will no doubt enjoy what we are being provided. In the previous chapter, we had the rest of Goku's fight with Granola. Beginning with a Super Saiyan Blue Goku on the attack, Granola would transition us to a more wooded area for the sake of getting the upper hand here. A tactic that only worked for so long as the ferocity of Goku was too great. And when that wasn't enough, he would use Super Saiyan Blue in tandem with Ultra Instinct. And it was thanks to this that he was suddenly avoiding all of Granola's attacks and actually gotten close enough to deliver a major Kamehameha at point blank range. But although he was able to do so, Granola was still able to lock onto and strike Goku's vital points, as according to him, no one has zero openings. A belief that Goku would correct, as in fact, Ultra Instinct should not have any openings, and so if there was in fact anything lacking about it, it was more so on his part. Granola would then bring about the destruction of the very earth beneath Goku's feet, as in his desperation, Goku would use instant transmission to relocate to Vegeta's position. Here, Vegeta would express that he was now aware of who they were dealing with and his reasoning for hating the Saiyans. And to this, Goku would wonder if Granola could be reasoned with, what was very unlikely as far as Vegeta was concerned, but if nothing else, perhaps by beating him into submission, they could have a chance to actually speak. And so Goku would make use of Ultra Instinct at full power. A transformation he would not be able to maintain for very long, and so he needed to finish things up quickly, as now displaying no openings whatsoever, he would swiftly get the better of Granola. He was absolutely styling on him now, dodging and redirecting each and every attempt by his opponent. What would soon become a use of telekinesis, as he would stop Granola dead in his tracks and set him up elsewhere to take on the full brunt of a concentrated ki blast. What was followed up by the quick succession of several long-range fists at a blistering pace faster than the eye can see, even the right eye of Granola. It was over. But now, despite this victory, Vegeta would recognize that Granola's power hadn't dropped nearly as much as it should have, and that's when he noticed it. Goku was not fighting the real Granola, but an illusory clone made up of his fractured power. As just then the real Granola would emerge and strike Goku with a devastating blow that immediately knocked him out of Ultra Instinct, sending him back a great ways away. Now it was truly over. And although he intended to kill Goku here, Granola would be interrupted by Vegeta, who was here for his turn, now assuring Granola that he would be sent on a one-way trip back to the rest of his people. And as his God of Destruction earring began to hit the light just right, he would promise to bring about the extinction of the Cerealians. With this latest chapter, we would open up to the Sugarians trying their best to evacuate and get away from the battle tremors, which would be felt all across the planet. But oh man, heading over to the stars of this chapter, Vegeta would firstly warn Granola that cheap tricks like fusion and clones would not work on him. The reason being the Force Spirit Fission technique he had mastered on the planet Yardrat. But apparently Granola had no such intentions, as he had only done so with Goku for the sake of conserving his strength to go after their boss, Frieza. And to this, Vegeta would make it expressly clear that he had parted ways with Frieza and his goons a very long time ago, and if nothing else, he is one of their enemies at this point. A sentiment which made Granola laugh, as from his perspective, Vegeta was throwing his master under the bus, hoping to preserve his own pathetic life. What was most definitely not the case. So much so that Oatmeal would begin to wonder about the whole situation, as it was strange that both of these Saiyans here were so insistent about not being evil. A concept which Granola would again consider to be a lowly attempt at deception. And it wasn't really like Vegeta cared what Granola thought of him, but he would express that he was only a child when these Saiyans invaded this planet, and it had nothing to do with them. A reality that Granola did not care about, as he intended to have his revenge against all Saiyans. So yeah, Granola is super unreasonable, and there is no point in debating with him, just as Vegeta had said previously. And so in knowing this to be Granola's stance, Vegeta is not about to hold back here. Because in the event that he were to find out about their children and such, who knows what he would do. And so in an instant, Vegeta would enter Super Saiyan Blue and tell Granola to prepare to die right along with the history of his people. Clearly being very disrespectful here, as he would plunge his hands downward to the ground as several boulders would arise around Granola on some planetary devastation vibes, as suddenly by way of destruction, Vegeta would set off a chain reaction all around. And the seismic quake caused by this could be felt everywhere. But just as the dust settled, Granola was unharmed and hovering above. He would assess this move of Vegeta's to be of a similar sort to the kind he had acquired, now saying that for the sake of making up for his lacking power, Vegeta resorts to quantity. And so from here he would descend and do the very same, only this time, to truly illustrate the difference between them, the single boulder he would raise was absolutely massive. And when destruction was used on it, the force was enough to propel Vegeta forwards, as his abdomen would meet Granola's fist oh so quickly. A truly painful blow that had Vegeta spewing blood from the mouth. As now agitated, he would launch a close-range ki blast, one that Granola would avoid by ascending yet again. And frustrated, Vegeta would launch upwards with unbridled force, now attempting to strike Granola in midair, but was countered and kicked down into a nearby river. But Granola was not done yet, as he would swiftly follow this up with a flurry of punches, ones that were forceful enough to propel Vegeta through the water despite his defenses, which would then be followed by a kick and then a fortified strike to the face. And Granola would not even let up when Vegeta was at range, as he would send off a volley of several precise ki blasts and continue doing so as they approached a waterfall. Suddenly it was like a game of cat and mouse, as Vegeta fled from Granola's shots and was now just casually swimming away. And so now frustrated by these tactics, Granola would opt for something a bit more powerful and a bit more precise, as he would just call in some cheat codes asking Oatmeal for some aim assistance. And after waiting for the right time, he would fire his shot, one that Vegeta could not simply evade, and so Vegeta would clutch onto it while fully submerged in water. What was clearly a very difficult task, but one that Vegeta would eventually succeed in, much to Granola's surprise. But now with Vegeta having left the water, Granola would hover above and admit that the Saiyans were far stronger than he had expected. But Vegeta would take note of Granola's voice to be a pompous one, a stance that to Granola only made sense as he was in fact the strongest in the universe after all. Furthermore, telling Vegeta that his efforts are pointless. And fair enough, Vegeta would admit that he was outclassed in regards to strength and techniques, but even still, victory would be his in the end. What to Granola made absolutely no sense at all, but it didn't matter. Vegeta would at this point tell him to just shut up and fight. Elsewhere, Goku would finally regain consciousness and immediately be pained by the blow he had previously sustained. Now looking around for Granola's location, he would see the two fighting overhead. They were going back and forth, and it was clear that Granola had the edge here as he was knocking Vegeta around. And Vegeta, having been sent downward, was now shooting up with several ki blasts. This was a futile effort, but he would not stop. So much so that by the time a particularly massive one was launched, Granola's temper had gotten the best of him, as in an effort to return the favor, he was baited by the Royal and made to inadvertently destroy what little remained of the Cerealians' history in this world, as Vegeta would then mock him for having destroyed such precious memories. And Granola was pissed, oh my goodness. But Vegeta would also comment on another matter: the fact that he could tell Granola's power was recently acquired. Now, Granola was shocked, and with his surprise to this, he would confirm Vegeta's suspicions. It was clear as day to a veteran like Vegeta that Granola was not yet used to this power, as he was lacking in the experience department. And from there, he would move to Granola's side and catch a fist. He would ask Granola with a smile if he'd been training with this power at all. And Granola would retort by dismissing any need for training, as he would deliver a world-shattering kick to Vegeta as he proclaimed his own incredible power. But Vegeta would wonder if he needed to repeat himself here, as he had already acknowledged Granola was stronger, but even still, there was no guarantee that he would lose, as now holding onto Granola's leg firmly, he would slam down with an elbow onto it, much to the Cerealian's dismay, as he would shake Vegeta off of him. And Granola, like a broken record at this point, would again speak of his grandiose power ensuring his victory. But listen man, Vegeta has been through the trenches. He has at this point seen it all, and he knows one great thing about battle: that the outcome is never quite set in stone. And furthermore, that is what he loves most about it. a proclamation that infuriated Granola as he would wonder how many lives had been sacrificed for Vegeta's barbaric love of carnage, and so he would drop down and provide several speedy jabs, all aimed at Vegeta's vitals. And it was during this that we would begin to see a tonal shift. Vegeta was smiling and holding him off as he would continue to school his opponent by saying that the title of strongest is ultimately just a momentary thing, and that once that time passes, it is nothing but history. And that furthermore, he is already stronger than he was a few minutes prior. And let me tell you, it may be a bit strange to say this about a grown man with a wife and children, but Vegeta has matured and grown so much. For him to say these sorts of things just goes to show how much he has changed over the course of the franchise in general. And I mean more specifically throughout Super, Goku is cool and all, but we have seen such incredible development from Vegeta as a character that regardless of how someone may feel about the series as a whole, I am willing to argue that for Vegeta fans, it has been a blessing. But yeah, Vegeta had grown even more powerful throughout this bout, which only gave Granola greater cause to finish him, as he would puncture Vegeta's armor while being restrained from going too far and making this a fatal blow. And good lord did this look painful. Vegeta was just over here expelling so much blood, an outcome and visual that Granola was very much satisfied with. But as Vegeta's head hung low, he began to laugh. He was having such an unbelievably good time. There was no planet to protect, there were no people to be saved, it was just pure martial combat and he was in his happy place. And boy was the blood of this battle junkie Saiyan pumping. So much so that despite all that high and mighty greater than thou talk, Granola instinctually jumped back in fear. The energy Vegeta began to exude was not only immense but abnormal. The power that began to swirl around him was so enormous and so pressuring that Granola was swung backwards. And Goku would sense a change in Vegeta's ki as well. It felt like God ki, yes, but not just Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan Blue. This was something different. Now on his back, Granola was in dismay observing this shifting chaos before him, and he would fire off several shots at it to no avail. He was clearly terrified, as just then emerging from this spiraling power, it was Vegeta. His hair was different, his eyes were different, his eyebrows were gone similarly to Super Saiyan 3, and he looked absolutely famished. Now in a sort of primal stance, he would let it be known that a god of destruction, Beerus, taught him that power stemming from instinct alone is unbound, and that was the chapter. Oh my goodness, Vegeta fans, rejoice. We have a new transformation that is all his own. Goku has Ultra Instinct deriving from the angels, and Vegeta now has some other form of instinctual power deriving from the gods of destruction. This transformation, with the gold earring again, is just so cold, oh my goodness. This is why we rock with Vegeta, people. I mean, this entire fight, my man has been grimy on another level. The fact that he had Granola deliver the final blow to his former home himself was absolutely foul, and I loved it. Now, there are a lot of naysayers out there right now. A lot of people, despite this incredible power, believe that ultimately Vegeta will lose this fight, and I cannot blame them. Vegeta's been getting played for as long as we have known him, snubbed at the last second and all that. And in this case, the circumstances especially make it a very heavy battle, because if Vegeta does emerge victorious from all this, he will, for at least this specific moment, be the strongest mortal in Universe 7. Then again, you might argue that Granola had expended a degree of his power with the whole Goku fight already, but whatever. Honestly, so long as he isn't horribly disrespected, which he actually hasn't been throughout all of Super as far as I'm concerned, I am happy, because you already know that he is about to put in that work regardless. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let us know what you guys think about this fight, past, present, and future, as well as what you think about this new transformation down in the comments. And if you're doing all that, why not just subscribe to Plot Armor with notifications on? You can also engage with us and the rest of the Plot Army over on Twitter and Instagram at PlotArmorYT, because when it comes to bringing you some of the best Dragon Ball Super content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.